Hello friends, welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm compiling concepts of SOQL and SOSL and how we can work with SOQL and SOSL in Salesforce. So I have taken reference from Salesforce docs. So the idea is to explain the concepts in easy and simple way. So let's go and get started. So what is SOQL? SOQL stands for Salesforce Object Query Language. The purpose of SOQL is to fetch records from an object and related objects. So basically we can write query on one object. While querying on those objects, we can fetch the child object records or parent object records. Apex impose governor limits on SOQL and SOSL. So there are 100 statements are allowed in one transaction, and we can an SOQL can return 50,000 records in one transaction. What is SOSL? SOSL stands for Salesforce Object Search Language. The purpose of SOSL is to search for a value in multiple objects, and there is no need of any relationship when we are querying. Uh, when we are querying the value. So results of SOSL query can be stored in list of objects. So the governor limits for SOSL is 20 statements per transaction, and the rows returned should not be more than 2000. Working with SOQL and SOSL query result. SOQL and SOSL queries only return data for S object fields that are selected in the original query. If you try to access field that was not selected in the SOQL or SOSL query, you receive a runtime error, even if the field contains a value in the database. For example, the following code causes runtime error. So let's understand the first statement. We are inserting a new account whose name is test SOQL. The next statement is we are querying ID from account where name equals to test SOQL, and we are limiting it to 1. And with the dot operator, we are referring the uh, field name. Um, field name and storing it into the string, because the data type of field name is string. And but we will land up into the runtime error, because in the query we are not referring the field name. So how we can correct this, let's understand. So the same code, but in the query we have written we have included the name field, and when we are referring the name field with the dot notation, this will not cause any runtime error. So dereferences object field in SQL query, we understood. So in this example, we are referring the annual revenue, annual revenue field on the account. So the query is select annual revenue from account where name equals to Acme, and we are limiting it to 1, and dot annual revenue. So annual revenue data type is double, so it will hold into the double, and we have given the variable name as rev2. Accessing S object field through relationship. So S object records represents relationship to other records with two fields, an ID and an address, that points to a representation of the associated S object. For example, the contact S object has both an account field of type ID and account field of type account that points to the associated S object record itself. Once the contact is associated with the account through ID, we can access account fields by account type followed by the dot operator. So we'll see in the example. So in the first statement, we are creating new account with the name called Acme, and we are inserting that account. And in the next statement, we are creating new contact with the last name Wisman, and then we are associating this new contact with the existing with the account that we have inserted in the above statement. So c dot account ID equals to a dot ID. So this will basically points to the new account that we have created. Then we are inserting this contact. So this new contact is now associated with the account record that we have inserted. So now what we will do, will query data for the inserted contact, including the populated c.account field. So let's see, select account dot name. So we are referring the account name field through contact. So from contact where id equals to c dot id. So now fields in both records can be changed through the contact. So now we are referring account c dot account dot name equals to salesforce .com, and c dot last name equals to Roth. So now we have updated the account name as well as the last name of the contact. To update the database, the two types of record must be updated separately. So how? So the first statement will update the last name of the contact, update c. So this will only changes the contact last name, and update c dot account. This updates the account name, account that we have inserted. So parent child relationship in SOQL queries. This is how we write the parent child relationship. So we are querying the account and the associated contact. So let understand, select id name and the subquery, select last name from contact. So here context is not the object name, it is the child relationship name. From account where name equals to acme. Example. So looping the records where a name equals to test. So we are this is parent child relationship. So select id name from account, on also there's a subquery of the associated contacts on this record, select last name from contact where name equals to test. And so a dot contact. So here we are storing all the associated contacts into the um, contact array. So we have given the variable name as cons. The following example also work. We limit to only one contact. So if we don't want to store into the array, if we limit the contacts record to one, so then we can store it in the single contact object. Here is the example, contact c is equal to a dot contacts. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. Working with SOQL aggregate function. Following are the aggregate function in SOQL: sum, max, min, count, average. Aggregate functions without using group by clause. So aggregate function returns a result in an array of aggregate result object. Aggregate result is a read-only S object and is used only for the query result. So for the query result, we have used aggregate result array, and we have given the variable name as group results. So what we are doing, select average amount, and here we have given the alias name as AVER ever from opportunity. So now in the second statement, what we are doing, group result, we are indexing the first record 0 dot get and average of the, and we are storing into the object average amount. Okay, so aggregate function is a powerful tool to generate reports when you use them group by clause. So here we are using group by clause. So again we are storing the result in the aggregate result array, and what we are doing, select campaign id average amount from opportunity group by campaign id. So here we are using group by clause, and now we are looping the uh, group result, and so aggregate result variable we are using ar system dot debug campaign id, ar dot get campaign id, and system dot debug average amount, ar dot get expr0. So any aggregated field in the select list that does not have any alias, so we haven't used any alias name in the above SOQL query, and automatically gets implied alias with the format of XPD, where I denotes the order of the aggregated field with no explicit aliases. So using SOQL queries that return one record. So always, basically, whenever we want to hold a result of SOQL query, always use list to hold the result. So in the example, select ID from account. So we are using list of account to hold the result, and we have given the variable name as ACCTS. This is the second example. This is only valid if query result return only one record. Select ID from account. So this will only work when it is returning when the database contains only one record. Otherwise, we'll land up into runtime error. In order to make the above SOQL query workable, we can use limit keyword. So in order to work this statement, so we can use the limit select ID from account limit 1, and we can hold the result in the account object with the variable name we have given ACCT. If you are dereferencing the particular field, that should be held in the data type of a referencing field, as we have discussed in the earlier example. So whenever we are referring uh, whenever we are referring field, we have to specify the field name in the query, and the data type, it should be hold in the data type of the referring field. So in this case, the name is a string type, and we are holding it in the string, and variable name is name. Okay, improve performance by avoiding null value. So we can improve SOQL query performance by including the null values. Otherwise, it will include null values as well, and that will delay the performance. So here is example: select ID, name, annual revenue from account, where annual revenue a less than 1,000 and annual revenue C not should not be equal to null. Working with polymorphic relationship in SOQL. So polymorphic relationship is a relationship between object where a reference object can be one of several different types. For example, who relationship field of a task can be contact or lead. So how to query polymorphic relationship. So here is an example: select description from event where what type in account or opportunity. So here is another approach. So select type of what when account, then phone when opportunity, then amount, and from event. So the first approach is more clear, so we can use the first approach. And using apex variables in SOQL and SOSL queries. SOQL and SOSL statement in apex can reference apex code variables and expression if they are preceded by colon. This use of local code variable within the SOQL and SOSL statement is called bind. So the apex parser first evaluates the local variable in the code context before executing the SOQL and or SOSL statement. Bind expression can be used as the search string in find clauses, the filter literals in where clauses, the value of the in or not in operator in where clauses, allowing filtering on a dynamic set of values. Note this is a particular use with list of IDs or string, though it works with list of any type. So the division name in with division clauses, numerical value in limit clauses, the numerical value in offset clauses. Example: account A, um, new account whose name is triple X, and we are inserting this account record. Account B, so we have declared another account whose name is B, a simple bind. So we'll use a simple bind. Select ID from account where uh, ID in a.id. So we are storing that in the B variable which belongs to the account. Querying all records with the SOQL statement. So how to query all records? So in the first statement, we are creating a new account whose name is triple X, and then what we are doing, select count from contact where account ID equals to a.id all rows. So we have to use all rows keywords in query all records. SOQL for loops. SOQL for loops iterate over all of the subject records written by a SOQL query. So in the first statement, we are declaring string variable whose value is test for account A in select ID name from account where name equals to test. The following examples combine creating a list from a SOQL query with the DML update method. So create a list of account record from SQL query. So this query select ID name from account where name like test percentage. So it will query all the account where names like test, and we are storing the result in the list, and the variable name is ACCS. Now we are looping the list and update the name field. So for account A in ACCS, a dot name equals to Oracle. So now we want to update the database, so we'll use the DML operation called update on ACCS. uh, Here it concludes the video, so I'll connect with you in next video, and so thanks for watching my videos.